I was trying to make, I was thinking of making a very small video about the science of people management. We always make serious efforts to study and discriminate, not discriminate, differentiate among the skills and abilities of people. We always create yardsticks and meter and try to judge people. This is also an activity in the business world. We try to study the abilities and the results that people produce. One of the recent inventions of the last 30, 40 years, to my mind and understanding, is the growth of the subject called human resources development. I've got many kinds of vehicles around which human resources development works, and one of those things is the appraisal. But just when you look at people, is there some other way or some other yardstick, some other more refined professional approach in the understanding of people, which would supplement or augment the existing understanding that we have about people, which is becoming very important today in the modern day world, so that human resources are adequately put to use for the betterment of organizations and also the societies that we live in, the countries that we live in. One of the earliest efforts of human resources development can be seen in the military. The subject called human resources development, I think, must have had its origin in the way military organizations around the world are run. It may not be 100% true, but we have drawn certain parallels, certain lessons, certain aspects of military people management into the world of business, which we call today as human resources management, human resource development. But still, as far as I am concerned as a person, when I look at the way people are being handled, even if you have 3 children at home or 2 children at home, you must understand them primarily, basically, fundamentally, so that you don't make errors in the way you manage and handle them, is both an aspect of management, governance, administration, and also an activity of human resources development. Jack Welch was once asked what's the most important department in an organization. I don't know why he said it is the Department of Human Resources Development. Maybe he's right. Maybe I told you wrong for a business. Long back, I have attended a lecture by an Englishman by name Eric Pillinger, who runs an organization around the world centered in London called as TAC International. I used to have extended interactions with him, and I happened to listen to one of his lectures. Some of his lectures were largely dwelled about people management, people issues. Now, I've got very two major aspects or hemispheres to tell and integrate into the whole. If you can understand them, you understand what is people, and try to apply, imply, use these concepts, what I say, in your day to day life and also in the realm or domain of the organizations in which you work, to a large scale, it will do good to all the stakeholders involved. I've seen some senior businessmen have got a very different kind of an approach to people. They are always right, which does not come from schools and colleges. It comes from their own understanding and their own learning and their own study and their own observation about the world that we live in. And such approaches have made them very successful as people and also in their activities that they undertake. Now, there are 5 kinds of people in this world. Please listen to me very carefully. Humanity can be, on a skill level, can be classified or can be what we call demarcated or can be divided into five categories based on two factors: motivation and development. What is motivation? Motivation is the skill of a person where he does lot of work within a short period of time. You will find working class of employees within an organization who get highly paid salaries and all that fall in this kind of a category of group who are intolerant to slow work, who try to enjoy achieving many things within a short span of time. One after the other go about handling their works very fast. Motivation. Motivation is contextual. It can vary from domain to domain or group to group. But I have got this factor: given a group, I am studying what's motivation. A child may be mildly highly motivated at school, but might find wanting in motivation in certain other context and vice versa. It is context driven. The second factor is called as development. Development means the ability to develop new things. When you see a child suo moto painting something, that means the child is high on development. Sometimes parents don't appreciate or look at the skill in the way that it has to be looked at. Leave them free and see what they do. They're painting, they like, enjoy painting, they're high on development. But development is not that. Development is the ability to concoct new ideas, to develop, basically active development. Not yeah. Lastly, sometimes it works in the domain of ideas. I am able to. Well, this is in the business world. It's called as business development. That's a very important group. Sometimes less understood. Some of the staff working in that domain are not well paid for want of results. Their job is not to get results. Their job is to develop. And if they don't develop, you can see that certainly the organization is sometimes going down the drain after some 5 or 6 years, because a man like that is difficult to find again. Especially in the private sector where you take certain decisions about people. Now, I was telling about five kinds of people. Let me classify them. Class number one: people who are high on development and high on motivation. They need not be told what is to be done. They move about their work very fast and they move about their work very intelligently. In certain contexts, you can see such kind of people who are high on development and high on motivation. They are high on both these factors. In your family, you can see some child who is high on both these factors. I am not touching about the character or other aspects, subconscious aspects of people. I'm relying on the domain of activity, where any human mind has got two components: the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I'm not talking about the subconscious mind. The factor called character comes from the subconscious mind, which we are not trying to touch because it doesn't touch upon very immediately into the overall realm of what we are discussing now. The second class of people are high on development, low on motivation. They always enjoy developing new things, but they work very slowly. It does not say they are slow, they are low on motivation, they are low on motivation. It does not say they do not have motivation. They are low on motivation. And I've got a third class of people who are high on motivation but low on development. As I told you, they keep doing a lot of work, but in the work that they do, they may or may not have a higher order developmental component. Look around, you can see such people who work very hard, but they do not have a developmental component. What do you mean by that? I might take a taxi driver going from point A to point B. Every day he drives very fast on the road between A and B, and he's very happy about it. A highly motivated driver is doing a very good job. He drives at 60, 70 kilometers per hour, 80 kilometers per hour. He's very confident about what he's doing, and he has been doing for the last 10 years. But between A and B, there is the shortcut which can reduce the entire journey distance by 4 kilometers. The man has never thought about it at all. It was the last 10 years of driving until someone tells him. He's low on development, his focus is on motivation. I've got a fourth class of people who are called the administrative class of people who are low on development and who are low on motivation. It does not say they are zero on motivation, zero on development. They are low on motivation and they are low on development. A class of people called as the administrators, and I've got a fifth class of people who are zero, very weak on motivation and very weak on development. You might be able to see such people in this world who are not motivated to do anything, at the same time they are zero on development. They might be having certain other kind of commercial skills, but they are on the work front they are found wanting on both these things. Now I've classified five sects of people. When you look at people, sects, SCCTS, if you look at people, you must look at people from these two factors, domains, not trajectories, two dimensions of motivation and development. Now, see the way these people have to be managed. It's not just at the workplace. I'm not just putting people to work. I have got an activity called as management where I manage these people. Off and on, you work with some people whom you are not very comfortable with because they don't manage you the right way. Now, managing is also a factor, though we cannot, but still there is an issue around which I manage. Who is the right manager for a man with a high development, high motivation? That high developed, high motivation man is called as a star at the workplace. Does he need management? He needs management too, so that he is not over motivated and over developing. He needs to be controlled to some extent. Um, he is best managed by an administrator. An administrator, as I told you, is a man with low motivation and low development. But when you put him as a boss of a star, a high motivated and a highly development oriented person, his work tends to become more stable. He tends to be more rational in the way he goes about his work and in the way he uses his skill. You should understand that administrator largely works with the understanding of law because his low motivation, low development personality always draws him to the understanding of various laws around which something works. And such kind of a legal tinge is needed in the management of a star who is a high motivation, high star, high development kind of a character. Who can manage a man or a person who is high on development and low on motivation? He is best managed by a person who is high on motivation, low on development. I repeat again. I made a class of people who are high on development, low on motivation. This person is best managed by a person who is high on motivation and low on development. Because the lack of motivation component in his generic activity is compensated by the motivational skill of his manager. Study your father and how your father governed and developed you. If you ask me, I am a class of person who is high on development, low on motivation. I am definitely belong to that class. I am making so many videos. Of course, I'm highly motivated to make videos. But generally in the class of life, my father used to be a person who used to be a highly motivated man. So he used to get me to do a lot of work. Because of his influence, I used to do a lot of work. I got into an engineering college and came out of it because of his uh, management on me. Somewhere I got there's a man who could get me to focus and do things that I should be doing. Now I've got another class of people, as I told, third class of people who are high on motivation, low on development. I was giving an example of a driver who was driving very fast for many years. High on motivation, low on development. Who can manage this man? This man is best managed by a person who is high on development, low on motivation. Because the high motivation, low development man does not have development. The development component is put in by the his manager, who is a high developer, low motivation kind of character. Now I have classified the three classes of people. I have told how best they can be managed. Now the question is, I have got an administrator. If at all I were to manage an administrator, definitely the converse of it would be true. A man who is low on motivation, low on development can be handled by a person who is high on motivation, high on development. It creates some kind of an average when both of them work, creating an effective kind of an operational or organizational outfit. Now, of course, I've got a man who's very low on motivation, low on development. This man cannot be managed. That is what is the general thinking. You let him do what he wants. You leave him free, whatever he wants to do. Most of the time, he may not be engaging himself in any work, but keep him. He has got his own benefits in certain situations. But you keep him to do that work. See, you must be very careful. Why is it? I will draw a parallel between appraisal and my theory, what I am giving you. When you appraise a man, you must look at not just look at his motivation, see how much he's achieving. That definitely is a component of the whole activity. But you must also see, has this man been able to do some developmental? Did he do anything developmental over the last 6 months or 1 year? And he must be given due credit for the developmental work that he does, lest it not be noticed and rewarded. And he might be definitely constrained to leave the organization, go elsewhere. Sometimes he will start his own enterprise because he has got some development skill. He may not be very successful at start with his own enterprise, but nonetheless, depending upon the people who are around him, he might think about going into making something of his own. What I'm trying to say is that when we apprise and see people, you must not just look at certain factors in a very micromanaged way. I see this word called appraisal because it will hamper and damage the long-term effectiveness of long-term people issues of organizations. So this is the essence. This is the idea. What I was trying to, what I was trying to tell you very quickly. I will summarize two factors around which people are classified at the conscious level of work, not at the subconscious level. I've got development and motivation. I've got five classes of people who are high on development, high on motivation. I've got people who are high on development, high on motivation, high on development, low on motivation, high on motivation, low on development, low on development, low on motivation, and finally people who are very weak at motivation and development. Now, very often, if you put this fifth class of person into a managerial situation, the essence is that this fellow will do no harm. Because he does not involve into many things that generally people do not get into trouble. But that's also a factor about this fifth character. And I also made certain statements who should be managing who. A high motivation, high development can be managed by an administrator. Low motivation, low development man, and high development, low motivation man can be managed by a person with high motivation, low development, and vice versa. So I hope I have made certain factors clear. When you appraise people, look for these factors, especially senior managers must have a look at people and all this. Even in the way you reward them, you treat them, you project them, and generally make use of them. This could be one of the yardsticks also, which could be used in judgment of people. Thank you very much. This is P.O. Subhash from Bangalore, India.